Conscious contact. As we develop more ways to relate to our higher power, we find benefits in all our relationships. For some of us, this never comes to involve a higher power that we would call God. I trust the unity in NA, said a member, that it will reach out to me and be there when I reach out. NA has carried me when I couldn't walk. Learning to pray is a process. The journey is its own reward. I learned the serenity prayer without the first word because I knew I didn't believe in that. When I was working the third step for the first time, I began to pray by saying thank you. Most of the time now, it's not please or thank you or any kind of dialogue. It just is. I take a deep breath and cherish this quiet moment of being connected. Prayer helps us to let go of our fear and distrust and to live in faith. We don't have to understand it for it to work. We open the door to a faith deep within that allows us to meet adversity with serenity. I strive to practice prayer in every moment, said one member. Of course, I fail every day, but it is changing my perspective. I'm very aware of the fragility and preciousness of life. Instead of giving so much thought to why things happen, we look for what we can learn. A member shared, in early recovery, my prayers were sporadic acts of desperation and surrender. I learned prayer as a way to practice conscious contact. Now I find if I can remember my higher power in the moment, my life becomes a prayer. My wisdom is activated in meditation, and I exist within the will of my higher power. I am spiritually free, the farthest from active addiction and the closest to the pure joy of existence in the moment. Many members believe that our higher power communicates with us through the people who come into our lives. One member explained, sharing in meetings is my highest form of prayer because I know my higher power is there. I can feel it, and I don't hold back. Often I need another person in front of me so I can pretend I'm talking to them when I talk to God. Sometimes I get answers through them. Active listening is a form of meditation. Some of the most important messages are delivered through some unlikely people. When we listen with an open mind, we can hear the message we need. One of the gifts of empathy is being able to hear one another's truth. We learn to settle inside ourselves. That spiritual peace becomes the root of our emotional stability, and it gives us the courage to take risks. When we can quiet our minds, we can better hear the answers we need. So often, we are desperate for answers that are right in front of us. In some ways, conscious contact with a higher power is no different from any other relationship. Meeting a person every day at the same time and place is a good beginning in getting to know someone. But to improve that relationship, we have to be willing to share openly. Intimacy grows over time. When we are close to someone through a difficult time, we learn whether we can trust them. The relationships that carry us through hardship are precious to us. Being present and in the moment and feeling alive, aware, and connected are feelings we hear about most often when members are sharing about their experiences with prayer and meditation. Most of us don't feel that profound sense of unity in every waking moment, but just knowing that we can feel it sometimes brings a sense of security. The fleeting feeling I long for is peace within, based on nothing outside myself. I just have to be willing to put the world down long enough to have a chance at it. Even if we experience that peace just for a moment, we can keep it in our hearts as we move through our lives. A member said, I was so tired of that committee in my head talking endlessly about how I wasn't good enough and nothing would be all right. So one day in meditation I gave them all musical instruments. You know, they're a pretty good band. When we notice the word ritual embedded in the word spiritual, we realize how important it is that our spirituality have some kind of regular expression. Practicing principles is just like any other form of exercise. The more regularly and consciously we do it, the better we get at it. When I don't practice my morning prayer, said one member, I feel disconnected, like I'm running on my own power. Of course, we do not tell anyone how, when, or where to pray. Conscious contact may not involve words at all, but some sort of regular pause for reflection is useful. I struggle with getting to 100%, said a member. I make good progress toward a goal, and then I get scared, back off, and berate myself for not making it all the way there. Regular spiritual practice teaches us the discipline to follow through on other commitments. The ability to complete a goal comes from the practice of diligence. Developing some autonomy from our negative feelings is one of the rewards of meditation. Our practice helps us to focus and see things through. We remember to put our program first and to respect our own limits. We strive every day to keep ourselves spiritually balanced. Sometimes we are more successful than others. When we act in love and humility, we are amazed at what we can accomplish. We stop being so afraid of ourselves and find the courage to stand up for what we believe. Our commitment to Narcotics Anonymous may be the first promise we ever keep. I always sought freedom from restraints or authority. The way I convinced myself of my freedom was by becoming a nomad. When you are never anywhere for long, you could pretend that your choices don't confine you, that you leave no trace on the world. My emotional luggage was always standing by the door. NA has asked me to do what I have never agreed to do before, to stay. We must come to terms with our own resistance in order to make a commitment to the program. But the unconditional love we learned in the fellowship is one of the most solid things we have experienced. Trusting that gives us the courage to stay through our discomfort. More and more, we find that the principles of the program guide our choices. The ability to choose wisely begins when we are able to be honest with ourselves about our motives and our desires. Sometimes doing nothing is the most spiritual thing we can do. It can keep us from having to make amends later, and it gives us time to seek guidance from our higher power. We can have our feelings without being had by them. Laughter and joy can be as spiritual as prayer and service. Some say that enlightenment begins when we lighten up on ourselves.